So good morning, everyone. There's been a lot of talk about injection sites lately and where to do it. And at the end of the day, you have to do your injection where your body reacts best to the purpose of the dose, minimizes the side effects that you may get, and you only know that through discovery. So you kind of just have to rotate as they instruct you to, and then discover the sites that are best for you. It is important to keep rotating because you don't want to develop things like scar tissue and things of that nature. And so it is good to continue to rotate. And I say this to you as a type 1 diabetic for over 30 years who, at the age of 14, before I left the hospital, I had to inject myself. So that's not that I'm an expert. It's just experience with the importance of rotating your injection site. So just experience speaking. So my glucose, I do the Medtronic Guardian 4 sensor for my continuous glucose monitor, or CGM. And so I received my alert last night that I do need to change out my sensor. They are indicated to last for 6 to 7 days. I do a little thing where I turn the sensor on my pump off, and then undo the current, undo it, the sensor from the transmitter. This is the transmitter here, which I do have to charge once I'm about to do the change, but I undo it, keep it on my arm, undo it, clip it back together. So, I'll undo it like that, then clip it back together, and it will give it a few more days of life if I don't want to, because it was like late last night, I didn't want to change it, and it will give it about 2 to 3 days more life. Again, it's indicated to change out every 6 to 7 days, but there are ways to extend it. Anyway, so it's morning, and I prefer changing out the sensor in the morning so that once it does go out, ideally it will be in the morning when it goes out. So this is, again, the Guardian 4 sensor. I'll take it out of the box so you can see. Let's talk needles. So you probably can't see it well, but essentially there is a filament that is what is actually the sensor that stays in your body. But to get that filament there is an injector needle, and it is a pretty intense needle, but obviously the needle does not stay, just the filament paper. And actually I'm going to do my right arm since it's on my left arm. So that's the area I'll do it in. That's unfortunately a sunburn from the little skin grip patch that I use. And so occasionally, because I'm out in the sun with the chickens, so, brown skin does and can get sunburnt. Anyway, and irritated and all the things. Anyway, so this is the device that is used to inject this. So it clips on as so, and stay away from the green buttons until you're ready. And then you undo it. And so there is, again, I don't know how angles work. There's the needle that's going to go in. That's what that looks like. So, I take that little piece of paper off the sticky because I'm going to do something. I should have had this out already. I use, to help with the skin irritation, I use a skin tap or a barrier wipe to help with the skin irritation from the sticky on the sensor itself and the skin grip that I use. And I don't do that. What I just showed you, I don't do. That was wrong. So let me get another alcohol pad, because you don't want your whole area sticky. So what I end up doing is, again, I took off that little piece of paper that was covering this, and then I take the skin grip and apply it to the part of the little piece of paper that's going to touch my skin. I'm being very careful because that needle is out. So again, there's needle 1 of the day. And I think this one, because I'm anticipating it, is a little bit more severe than the Zepbound. But everybody's different. Everybody's skin is different. Everybody's sensitivity to needles is different. And if you have anxiety over needles, that's just going to intensify, because the brain and the body connect. And if you have anxiety over something, it's going to cause the impression of that pain to be a little bit more severe. I'm just getting out more alcohol wipes because I go crazy with alcohol wipes. Anyway, so here we go. I'm doing this in my arm. Used to not be able to do this. But over the last couple of years, I've just gotten a little bit better at it. So I'm just going to put it right here. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. And there is a little pain there because, again, you saw the intensity of that needle. And so I do leave it for a few seconds. And you see that that's still in there. And then you just pull that out. And it gets disposed. Again, you can kind of see. Hopefully there's no blood. There's the sensor. So I do a couple of things. Again, I should have already had this out. But alas, I did not. So because I've got to charge the transmitter, I'm just going to leave this sort of hanging on. But because I've got to go feed the chickens here in a second, I'm at least going to secure it down with the sticky tape. This part is probably the hardest. Sometimes I get my husband to help me, but I'm doing a little bit better with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to connect to enough of it and this is not going to be perfect, but perfection, we don't reach perfection until we are ready to leave this earth. So while it's good to strive for perfect and excellence, there will be a time for perfection later. Anyway, so that's injection 1. Okay, so that's that. So then I'm going to do the Zepbound. I don't even know which way you need to see this for this to be accurate for you, but I'm on 5. I've been on 5. This will be so it's my second box of 5. So my 6th shot of 5. Is that the right math for my math folks out there? So that's where I'm at. I started July 16th. So this is week 10 of overall, but week 6 of of 5.0. So I am going to do I like the arm. I did the stomach. I did the upper left stomach last week. I did have lots of suppression like the last couple of days. Even though I made those beautiful meals, I've not really eaten them, or I've eaten small amounts of them and things like that. So, here we go. So I tend to have not as much, I have suppression throughout the entire time, but not enough in the arm to where I'm not eating my meals. Because if I cook those meals, I kind of want to eat them. That's just me. I see everyone else eating the meals in the house and not eating them. So, of course, take the gray cap off. You saw that I did the alcohol wipe in my arm. And I have a lot of subcutaneous fat there, not intramuscular. So that makes a difference. I want to make sure it's going into fat. So it's important to tell, if I'm showing people it's currently locked on the gray lock icon. You turn it to the green, and then that you're colorblind, you turn it to the unlocked icon when you're all ready. I think we've all kind of experienced the needle. There's a needle in that, a little smaller than the needle that was in the sensor. So there's that. I do a little bit of the press. I'm struggling because I'm trying to do this on camera. So here we go. I'm not pressing hard. It's on my skin, but I'm not pressing hard. And here we go. There's the first click. There's the second click. I leave it for a little bit, just to leave it. You don't have to do that. And there we go. I don't think I see any blood or any indication. Definitely went in. I feel it. So, no blood. And I get this. I don't know if y'all get it, but I know the medicine is in because I get this little warm moment. It's like just a little sort of warm and fuzzy. Hey, I'm inside, about to go party. Gonna do my thing in your body for the next however many days. I can't show you because I'm on my phone. I'm using my phone. On the Shotzi app, and there's other apps for the glucose thing. One thing I have found interesting and sort of begins to make sense about these and is that you still usually on the next week of my injection, there's usually about anywhere from 3.5 milligram left from the prior week. And so by the time this one's in my body, it, takes a couple of days, but there are some days where there's actually, by tomorrow, there's actually 7 or 6 milligrams. So because again, it continues to stay in your body week to week. So anyway, so that's a little bit of that. So one more that I'm going to do. I'm going to pause so I can stand or readjust for a bit. I'm going to do my infusion set. So this is what connects to I do a connected infusion set. I know there are other insulin pump manufacturers out there that are not wireless, but are tubeless. I think that's brilliant. I'm not against that. I personally do this Medtronic brand, and this is, again, Medtronic. This is their extended infusion sets that sits in your body, that can stay on your body for 6 or 7 days. You can change the reservoir twice depending on how much insulin you need. But I personally like Medtronic because I just like the ability to order all my diabetic supplies from one company. I have to manage diabetes. I'm not trying to manage every provider in the world. So I'm a efficiency girl, convenient person. So I just like living life that I'm not having to do things twice to manage something. Anyway, so I'm going to pause real quick so I can stand up a bit. So this is the infusion set. As again, it has like a little cover. Let me back up to prevent, the sticky. I'll take that off in a second. It has kind of these guards. I have no idea where the camera is. It has kind of these guards and stuff to allow for, just to protect from that being pressed before you're ready. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. This is the area. So, yeah, this is the belly of a type 1 diabetic who's used sensors and things like that. So you kind of see spots there. So I'm just going to pick a spot for my infusion set. Again, you have your classic alcohol wipe. I'm going to take the sticky, you don't remember where the camera is. Gonna take off that stick. You can see that. You can't really see the needle in there. Actually can. This is probably the shorter of all three. So there's a needle in there. Because that is sticky and I'm outside a lot, doing a lot, so this area gets sweaty. So sweat can cause irritation, and that's where a lot of this comes down to. So I do another barrier wipe on the sticky part. I don't do it in the area where the needle's going to come out because I don't want the needle to be sticky. But I just want the tape to be sticky. So that's sticky. I'll find my spot again. I think it was right here. Let's go with it. And again, don't press in too hard. There is some press, but not hard. It's going to click. And again, I just keep it on there just for that heat to do its thing. Same, because I'm going to wait to do the actual infusion part later. So I am going to put a little piece of tape because it's just extra protection because, like I said, I'm I'm out in the sun doing the whole sweating thing, all that beautiful stuff. And I just want to be able, like I said, this part is probably the hardest because I'm just really bad at angles, and I'm looking at the camera, which I probably shouldn't be, and it's just a mess. I'll probably redo that off camera and say that's awful. Just redo it off camera. And again, or just let it be. I mean, it's not the end of the world. So there's all that. So that's all the things. Of course, everything will go in its box and all that other stuff. I'll attach the reservoir to this little thing, and sort of this part attaches to a reservoir of insulin, and then it'll go in there and then eventually go into my pump. And then this part here will connect to that infusion set that I brought. So those are the 3 injections that, you know, happened to fall when it did. But that usually does not happen. Even my sensor and my sensor change and my infusion set change rarely happen on the same day. Usually it's like a day and a half apart. So every once in a while, the stars align, the planets align, beauty ensues, and I get to do all 3 on the same day. So that's my story. I know this is long. Maybe there'll be a way to clip it, if that makes sense. I'm still learning. Apparently I used the VidQ, and it tells, it keeps telling me that, you know, I need to make things pop. And I also am not telling people to like, comment, subscribe. I got some points taken off for that, but so like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I'm kind of doing this for fun. Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I appreciate each of you. Thank you for coming. Sorry it gets a little bit long-winded, but I appreciate each of you. Stay blessed, stay kind to one another, and in the words of the greatest prophets on the planet, be the wild stallions, be excellent to one another. We need it. Be excellent to one another. Bye-bye.